One of the biggest mistakes people make when going in for a hug is rushing the moment without first understanding the emotional space between them and the other person. A hug may look like a simple action, but in reality it carries meaning, and that meaning is shaped by timing. When you move too quickly, the interaction can feel forced, even if your intention is kind. People often believe that confidence means acting fast, but true confidence is shown in patience. When you take a brief moment before stepping in, you allow the other person to recognize what is happening and respond naturally. That small pause creates comfort because it shows awareness. Many men pay attention to this without even realizing it. They notice whether the moment feels smooth or sudden. When a hug comes out of nowhere, it can create a feeling of pressure, as if they have to react immediately without being ready. But when the hug happens after a short moment of eye contact or a natural smile, it feels shared instead of imposed. Social connection always works better when both people feel included in the moment. Rushing removes that feeling of inclusion, and the interaction becomes awkward, even though nothing wrong was said. The key is not to hesitate in fear, but to slow down with intention. When your movement shows that you are comfortable enough to wait a second, the hug feels warmer and more genuine. This also shows emotional intelligence, because you are paying attention to the situation instead of acting automatically. People feel safe around someone who can read the moment instead of someone who reacts without thinking. A natural hug usually happens when both people sense it at the same time, and that only happens when you allow space for the moment to develop. If you learn to respect that small space before the hug, your interactions will feel smoother, calmer, and more confident without needing any extra effort. Another mistake that often happens in a hug is bringing tension into the moment without realizing it. People think the hug itself is what matters, but the feeling inside your body changes how the hug is received. When your shoulders are stiff, your arms feel tight, or your posture looks unsure, the other person senses that immediately. Human beings naturally react to body language faster than words, so even if you are smiling, tension in your body can make the hug feel uncomfortable. Many people become tense because they start thinking too much about what the hug means or how they should do it. The moment you begin to overthink, your body stops moving naturally. Instead of a relaxed gesture, the hug starts to feel like something you are trying to perform correctly. A man will usually respond to the energy you bring, so if your body feels nervous, the hug will feel nervous to him too. This is why calmness is more important than perfection. A simple, relaxed hug always feels better than one that looks planned. When your arms move naturally and your posture stays loose, the interaction feels friendly and safe. But when your muscles are tight, the hug can feel distant even if you are standing close. The goal is not to impress. The goal is to make the moment comfortable for both people. Comfort comes from being present, not from trying to control every detail. If you notice yourself getting stiff, the best thing you can do is slow down your movement and breathe normally. When your breathing is calm, your body relaxes and the hug feels more natural without you forcing anything. This kind of relaxed energy makes the other person feel at ease, and that ease is what creates a good interaction. A hug should never feel like a test you have to pass. It should feel like a simple human moment where both people are comfortable being themselves. When your body shows that comfort, the hug automatically feels warm, natural, and easy to remember in a positive way. Another common mistake people make during a hug is holding on longer than the moment naturally allows. Many believe that a longer hug shows more care or creates a stronger connection. But in reality, the right hug is about timing, not duration. Every social moment has its own rhythm, and when that rhythm is ignored, the interaction starts to feel uncomfortable, even if the intention is good. A hug that lasts too long can make the other person unsure about what is expected next, and that uncertainty can break the natural flow of the moment. Men often respond better to interactions that feel easy and balanced, not ones that feel heavy or overly serious without reason. When a hug continues past the point where it should naturally end, it can create pressure, as if the moment is being stretched instead of shared. The key is to pay attention to the energy between both people. Usually there is a silent understanding of when to step in and when to step back. When you release the hug at the right time, it shows awareness and emotional control, and those qualities make social interactions feel smooth. Holding on too long often happens when someone is unsure, and they try to use the extra time to make the moment feel meaningful. But meaning does not come from length, it comes from comfort. A short, natural hug can feel warmer than a long one that feels forced. When you trust the moment, you do not need to hold on longer to prove anything. You simply allow the hug to begin, happen, and end without resistance. This creates a sense of ease that the other person can feel immediately. People remember interactions that feel natural, not ones that feel confusing. When your timing is right, the hug feels friendly, confident, and respectful at the same time. Learning to let go at the right moment shows that you understand the situation without needing words, and that kind of understanding always makes a stronger impression than trying too hard to make the moment last. Another mistake that can quietly ruin the feeling of a hug is when the moment starts to feel like a test instead of a natural interaction. Sometimes a person goes in for a hug while secretly watching how the other person reacts, almost as if they are trying to measure interest, care, or attention. The problem with this mindset is that it creates pressure, and pressure is something people can feel even when nothing is said out loud. A hug should never feel like a situation where someone has to respond in a certain way to avoid disappointing you. When the intention behind the hug is to check someone's feelings, the gesture stops being warm and starts feeling heavy. Men are often very sensitive to moments where they feel judged or evaluated, especially in small social situations. If the hug feels like it comes with expectations, he may become more careful instead of more comfortable. Real connection grows in moments that feel free, not in moments that feel controlled. When you hug someone with a relaxed and genuine attitude, the other person feels safe to respond naturally. But when your body language shows that you are waiting for a specific reaction, the moment becomes tense without either of you understanding why. The best way to avoid this mistake is to focus on the present instead of the outcome. A hug is not supposed to prove anything. It is just a simple way to share warmth for a second. When you allow it to stay simple, the interaction feels honest, and honesty always makes people feel closer. If you ever notice yourself thinking about what the hug means or what it should lead to, that is usually the sign that you are leaving the moment and going into your head. The more you stay present, the more natural your movements become. And when your movements are natural, the other person relaxes too. A hug that comes without hidden expectations feels light, comfortable, and real. And those are the moments people remember in a good way long after the interaction is over. Another mistake that many people do not notice is avoiding eye contact before and after the hug, which makes the interaction feel incomplete, even if the hug itself was fine. Eye contact may seem like a small detail, but it plays a big role in making social moments feel natural. When you look at someone for a brief second before going in for a hug, it creates a silent understanding between both of you. That small moment gives the other person time to recognize what is happening and respond comfortably. Without that, the hug can feel automatic, like something done out of habit instead of something shared. Many people look away too quickly because they feel shy or unsure, but looking away can send the message that you are not fully present. A man often feels more relaxed when he sees that the other person is comfortable enough to hold natural eye contact for a moment. It does not need to be intense or serious. Just a simple glance and a calm expression is enough to make the moment feel real. The same thing happens after the hug. If the hug ends and you immediately look down or turn away, the interaction can feel cut off too fast. But when you keep a relaxed expression or give a small smile after the hug, it closes the moment in a smooth way. These small details make a big difference because people remember how they felt, not just what happened. Eye contact shows confidence without needing words, and confidence makes every interaction easier. When When you avoid eye contact, it can look like you are unsure, even if you are not. When you allow yourself to stay present for that extra second, the hug feels warm instead of awkward. Social comfort is often built from these tiny signals that most people do not think about. A natural hug usually begins with awareness and ends with the same awareness. When both the beginning and the ending feel calm, the whole interaction feels balanced. And balance is what makes people feel comfortable being around you again. Another mistake people often make when going for a hug is overthinking the moment and trying to give it more meaning than it actually needs. When your mind becomes too busy with thoughts like what this hug will show, what the other person will think, or what the moment should lead to, your body stops acting naturally. Instead of a simple and comfortable interaction, the hug starts to feel controlled and unnatural. Many people believe that every hug has to say something important, but most of the time a hug is just a small social gesture, nothing more. When you try to make it special on purpose, your movements become careful and stiff, and the other person can feel that something is not relaxed. Men usually respond better to moments that feel easy and honest, not to moments that feel planned or heavy. When a hug feels like it carries too much expectation, it can make the situation awkward without anyone knowing why. The best interactions happen when you allow the moment to stay simple. If the hug is friendly, let it be friendly. If it is polite, let it stay polite. When you stop trying to control the meaning, your body language becomes natural again, and natural body language always feels comfortable to the other person. Overthinking also makes you react slower or faster than the moment needs, because you are not following the situation, you are following your thoughts. This is why staying present is so important. When you focus on what is happening right now instead of what it should mean, your actions become smooth without effort. A relaxed hug often leaves a better impression than one that looks perfect but feels forced. People remember the feeling of ease more than the action itself. When you let the moment be simple, the connection feels real, and real moments always create more comfort than moments that are filled with too much thinking. Another mistake that can make a hug feel uncomfortable is not respecting personal space before the hug even begins. Many people focus only on the moment of the hug itself, but the way you move into that moment is just as important. When you step too close too quickly, the other person may feel surprised instead of relaxed, even if they have no problem with the hug. Social comfort often depends on giving the other person a second to understand what is happening. When you allow a small pause before moving forward, it gives both of you time to feel ready, and that readiness makes the hug feel natural. Men usually respond better when they feel included in the moment instead of feeling like something happened suddenly. This does not mean you should act slow in a strange way. It simply means your movement should feel calm and aware. When you approach with steady body language and a relaxed expression, the other person senses that there is no pressure, but when you move too fast, it can create a feeling that they have to react immediately, and that can make the interaction awkward even if the hug itself lasts only a second. Respecting personal space shows emotional awareness, and emotional awareness makes people feel comfortable around you. It tells the other person that you notice their presence, and you care about how the moment feels for both of you. A good hug usually happens when both people naturally lean toward each other at the same time. That kind of timing cannot happen if one person rushes ahead without noticing the other. When you learn to slow down just enough to read the situation, your actions start to match the moment instead of interrupting it. This makes every interaction smoother because people feel safe when they know you are paying attention. A hug that begins with awareness almost always feels warm and easy, while a hug that starts without respect for space can feel forced even if the intention was friendly.